En el centro de la pampa vive un pimiento. Sol y viento pa' su vida, sol y viento. Sol y viento.
Hello, I am Patrick Barnard. This is a special bulletin of the Pimento Report. It is Wednesday, January 23rd, 2013. Today there was a significant press conference in downtown Montreal. It was sponsored by three people: the standing mayor of the city of Montreal, Mr. Michael Applebaum, the Quebec Minister for the Montreal region, Monsieur Jean-François, and the Quebec Minister of Municipal Affairs, Monsieur Sylvain Gaudreault. The press conference was to announce an investment of $150 million in what is called the PMAD, the Plan Métropolitain d'Aménagement et de Développement, the Metropolitan Plan for Urban Planning and Development. There were three parts to the investment that's going to take place. One is a big public meeting about the PMAD. Another is a whole series of transported-oriented development projects. And the third part of this was a set of investments in things like forest corridors, a beach, a bicycle path.
Bonjour. Monsieur le ministre Jean-François, Monsieur le ministre Sylvain Gaudreault, Mesdames les mairesses, Monsieur le maire de Grand Montréal, conseillères de la municipalité de la région métropolitaine, distingués invités, Mesdames et Messieurs. Entré en vigueur en mars 2012, le plan métropolitain d'aménagement et de développement est aujourd'hui reconnu comme un plan métropolitain ambitieux dans lequel se reconnaissent les citoyens.
There were a lot of people who have worked for the preservation, the development of the environment here in the southwest of Quebec at the press conference. I found one of them, David Fletcher, the Vice President of the Green Coalition, and I asked him to comment about the significance of this announcement today.
David Fletcher, for at least a generation now, you've been promoting a regional approach to the preservation of natural spaces and of biodiversity. You're here at this press conference. Can you tell us what your reaction is?
Well, I'd have to say, everything that's been said here, the optics are great, and, they've devoted $150 million to this particular phase of the PMAD. But, I think we need to measure this against costs that are being brought elsewhere. Recently in the Gazette, this morning actually in the Gazette, there was talk of a prolongation of the blue line, the yellow line, and the orange line into Laval. And, just the blue line alone will cost close to $1 billion, right? That's maybe 7 times what is projected to the entire region of 4,000 square kilometers. That $950 million is for 5 kilometers of new metro line on that blue line. So there's a question here, are the optics really, do they really measure up to this whole concept of sustainability? And my answer is probably we need to be looking at this entire region and devoting more than that simple $100 million has been added to the $50 million to realize this great dream. I think it's a bit meager. When you work it out per kilometer, when you work it out per municipality, it's not an awful lot of money to get the conservation job done. We saw nothing in the plan about the Couronne Nord. We had the cycle path from Oka to Saint-Hilaire. We had the corridor in St. Bruno to the Bois de Verchères and the Rivière des Mille, which are fine. We can draw no objections to that. But a big blank on the map was, of course, all of the forested areas in the Courant Nord that are going to need far more, I think, than $100 million to protect. And of course, there are those off the west end of the island, the Surwa, major pieces that are left without any substantial protection at a time when development pressures, particularly in St. Lazare and Vaudreuil, are grave. They're really ready to develop and to do the hospital project.
Frankly, I didn't see any protection, serious protection for natural spaces in this. And I would say it's even dangerous because the optics look good, but the reality on the ground is pretty bad.
Right.
What can we do as activists? Do we put pressure on the government to get real?
I think, we have to be present at whatever follow-ups there are in 2013, 2014 to make sure that we press this issue, that you've got to come forward with the resources, whether it's money or other measures, to get that conservation done. Right now, it's simply an idle dream, and we have to have some substance here. Now, we don't see that substance today.
So this is really the implementation of a vision that has been building in the Montreal area within elected officials and civil society for 10 years, and we're starting to implement in concrete terms this vision.
Guy Garon is talking to Sylvia right behind you. Are either you or Guy going to go up and tell Lisée that today? Are you going to speak to him?
Well, if I get the opportunity, I'll certainly say that. And I'd like to point out too, by the way, there's an inconsistency in the PMAD as far as talking about 17% in conservation, the norms for Nagoya, which leaves out 15% in rehabilitation, by the way, which was also a very important target from the Aichi Nagoya process, and that's not there. And the MUC itself talks about the need to protect 30% in forest cover. So there's a big hole between the 17% and that 30%, or the 32% if you add in the 15% in rehabilitation. We need more. We need more daring, we need more commitment, and if we're going to realize what has been projected here as a dream for the future, we've got to be more serious about bringing the resources to it. Right now, I don't see that the full suite of resources are being brought to the front.
Thanks, Dave.
You're quite welcome.